So before we get into this movie, I just like to explain an Argentism that I think is very relevant here, and that is inexplicably committed. Now, back in 2011, one of the worst films ever made came out, Jack and Jill, starring Adam Sandler and Adam Sandler as the twins Jack and Jill. Now, the film was truly horrendous beyond all reason, but it featured a performance from Al Pacino that to this day leaves people scratching their heads. For whatever reason, Al Pacino brought his A game and actually like tried really hard when he was doing it, and it just was bizarre to watch. And I remember the reviews at the time referred to it as an inexplicably committed performance, which I just thought was one of the funniest ways of describing something. So I use the term inexplicably committed or inexplicably high effort for something that should be phoned in or like no one should care about or like it's just this really secondary thing, but for whatever reason someone was really passionate about it, and so they just threw like the kitchen sink at it and put all this time and thought and care into it. And Santa's Slay is kind of like that as far as a B movie goes, because the more I read about the production of this film and stuff involving it, I really have to wonder like what was even going on, because this film allegedly only cost $100,000 to make, and it has recognizable actors in it. It has like special effects. They got like a bison to pull a sleigh. They got a professional wrestler. It doesn't make sense. Like I don't know how they were able to make this movie for $100,000. I don't know if this is a money laundering operation, if they just got like all the sets and stuff for free, but it is bizarre. And you go through the DVD, and for whatever reason, Santa's Slay, this 2005 comedy slasher movie that looks like it's from the 1980s, has a really good DVD. It has multiple making of documentaries. It has like 20 deleted scenes, and the mini documentaries are actually good. They're like some of the best making of ones I've ever seen. And like they go into detail like about how they casted the movie, about how they like built the sleigh and they built the sets and designed Santa's costume. And I'm like, any one of these things should have cost $100,000. How was this even created? And watching the movie with that, and this is not $100,000 in like 1970. This is $100,000 in 2005. So I gotta wonder if there's some shenanigans going on with this film. If there's like mob money that was being laundered, if they like underreported it or something like that. I don't know. But the amount of effort that they put in for schlock is kind of bizarre, to be honest. Now, how did I even hear about this movie? So a friend of mine was like, we should have a movie night. We should watch a Christmas movie, but we missed having a Halloween movie night. And it's the end of November, so we're halfway between Halloween and Christmas. So let's split the difference and watch Santa's Slay. I'm like, what the fuck is Santa's Slay? And he's like, it's the best Christmas movie since On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, we could go watch Red One instead. And I'm like, okay, let's watch Santa's Slay. I would need probably a minimum of $120 to watch Red One. But I'll watch this crappy B movie for free. So I started watching it and like, you know what? This is actually pretty good. How did this not make money? Like there's so many garbage horror movies and garbage action films with lower production values than this that cost like 20 to like 200 times more money to make that are worse than this. But somehow this film only made $7,000. I don't know. Once again, I have to wonder like if there's some shenanigans that happen behind the scenes with, and this is some kind of weird money laundering operation. But I digress. So I just wanted to show you a couple pictures from the movie. Because like I said, it's surprisingly like really high effort. So this is funny for a variety of different reasons. Jews were very, very heavily involved in this. They put a lot of stuff in. The wrestler is Jewish, but they made Santa this like costume that I think actually looks pretty badass. Santa's supposed to be like a Norse demon in this, so they kind of tried to give him a bit of a Viking vibe. But like, I actually really dig it. Like, it kind of looks like a like a military uniform a bit, almost kind of like armor. You got the Santa logo on everything. I really like the Santa hat because it kind of looks like a crown and it kind of looks like a Viking helmet. But like you'd think designing that alone would have cost them $100,000. And then we have the sleigh, and the sleigh is like actually really cool looking. Let me see if I can find a better picture of what the sleigh looks like. Because they made the sleigh look like a Viking warship, which is something I've never seen. Was actually yeah, and they have like a random when they're talking about Santa's backstory, they have like a stop motion flashback scene. Somehow they were able to afford it. It doesn't make any sense. Let's see, where is Santa's sleigh? Yeah, as you can see, there's the Viking shields there. Trying to see if there's a shot of it from the side. Yeah, you can see it a bit there. Um, yeah, so it's supposed to look kind of like a Viking longship, which I think is pretty cool, actually. They couldn't afford flying reindeer, and this was shot in, like, I think, Alberta. So they got a bison, and they spray painted the bison white, and they actually lifted the bison up. Um, and there's like on the making of they had like the bison pulling the 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 Viking boat sleigh around town. And I'm gonna say this a lot during this movie. How did they even afford doing that? Like you'd think having the bison alone would have been $100,000, and like you're watching the construction of the sleigh and the director's talking about it. Unfortunately, this dude was never given another movie. I mean, I really wish that he had been. Imagine if you gave this guy like $1 million, he'd produce like Avatar with the way he was able to stretch the budget on this one. But yeah, you have that. Like it's bizarre. Like the amount of what they were able to do with basically no money. So Santa's sleigh. Um, what is this film about? I can't believe I'm talking about what the movie Santa's sleigh is about. Also, just I don't know. I think Bill Goldberg does a really good job as like evil, demonic Norse Jewish Santa. I mean, look at him. He looks intimidating. Like I said, it's a very like I really dig the outfit. The outfit looks really cool. Um, it doesn't even look like it's cheap. It looks like something you'd see in like a good like a high production value film. Like I said, this whole thing is just very inexplicable. So this movie takes place in Alberta, Canada. It's always nice to me to see something that takes place in Canada. One of the most bizarre parts of this movie is the main character is wearing a shirt that says Flin Flon on it, or specifically the Flin Flan Bombers. Now, the Flin Flan Bombers are a Canadian junior hockey team from Flin Flon, Manitoba, which is a city in the middle of nowhere on the Manitoba Saskatchewan border, which I don't know if anyone's even ever heard of before. It's in northern Manitoba. I've only heard of it because, well, I live in Manitoba, but it's just like, why is this movie referencing a junior hockey team from a town of 5,000 people in northern Manitoba? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And that's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, let's get back to Santa's sleigh. I think it actually says it on it mentions Santa's sleigh on this. Let's see. Or actually it doesn't, or maybe it's on another Wikipedia page. One of my friends looked it up and they said that they saw it somewhere. But anyways, I massively digress. Let's get back to Santa's sleigh. So Santa's sleigh takes place in this town in Alberta, uh, Canada, in the township of Hell. Now, this is going to be important, but this takes place in Hell, so we have all the usual Hell puns. So it starts off with Santa coming in and just slaughtering a bunch of vaguely recognizable actors. He does all kinds of stuff, like he kills one guy by shoving like a turkey bone in his throat and then smashing his head against the table so like the turkey bone penetrates his brain. He kills one woman by like throwing a Christmas tree star like a shuriken. And that's just kind of the opening, is Santa just starting to go on a rampage. This movie also has multiple original songs. How? How did they afford multiple original songs for this? Like, nothing about this makes any kind of sense. Anyways, so Santa Claus is just going through the city, just killing everybody. We cut to a Jewish deli where we have our two main characters, Nicholas and Mary. Now, Mary is the eye candy in this movie, who is played by Emilia de Ravin, who frankly I've always found exceedingly beautiful. If you don't, she was Claire in Lost, so having her in this movie was kind of nice. It gave us something to look at besides Bill Goldberg's Chad Nature. So she's dating Nicholas, and they go back to his house, and we're introduced to his grandfather, who's this Doctor Doctor Brown figure from Back to the Future, and he has all these inventions. Like he has a nutcracker that like fires an exploding chestnut or something like that. And he's widely regarded as being crazy. And he never celebrates Christmas. He hates Christmas and he hates Santa because he knows the truth. He knows that Santa is actually Satan's son, who was born by the union of Satan and some woman, and he was cursed to forever wander the earth, and every year at Christmas go on a massacre. There's some other stuff, like they actually built some real lore for this. Like there was a Norse day. He was like a Norse demon, and then an angel came down, and an angel and him had a curl off, and this was like in the year 1005, and the angel won the curl off, and the punishment for losing the curl off was that Santa had to be nice for the next 1000 years, and now he's back to get. I think the reason it's called hell, geez, I can't even remember when I watched this movie yesterday, but I think Santa said, I will go to the depths of hell to find you. So apparently that's why he's in a place called hell at the moment. It's a reference to something he said in the past. So Santa goes on his rampage. Mary and Nick get into a fight over a couple different things. They briefly break up, then they get back together. We've got some actually pretty funny jokes, like how um, Nicholas got an easy bake oven for Christmas, and later in the movie, Santa takes out a letter and reads it, and it like he's like, no, it's not mine. It's like the Austin Powers penis inflating pump thing. He's like, it's not mine. I didn't ask for an easy bake oven. I asked for a transformer, and it's like, no, it actually was an easy bake oven. Is what he asked for the whole time. So basically, Santa just goes on a rampage through the city in his Viking sleigh, pulled by a hell deer, which is a bison, which once again is based. I mean, it's just awesome. Apparently, it was inspired by, I forget his name, that character in Blazing Saddles who had to ride an ox around because he was too big for a horse. So all this stuff like about his past gets explained to him in this illuminated manuscript called the Book of Klaus, about how Nicholas's family has for generations protected the world from Santa, or Shaitan, as he's called in this, protecting the world from Santa and being ready to fight him should he ever return. And once again, they went through the trouble of like making this book, and like all this stuff, like all the image, like that somebody actually went through and animated this whole thing, and it's apparently written in like Old Norse or something like that. But yeah, so a lot of the movie is just them running from Santa. They go to the police station. I think there's a couple Terminator references in this film. Like there's a scene where Santa jumps on the back of their the pickup truck that they're driving, and it kind of reminds me of the scene in Terminator 2 where the T1 where the T1000 jumps on it and then they shoot him and then he falls off, and stuff like that. So they're trying to come up with a way to deal with Santa. They figure out that if Santa can be defeated Sorry, if they can hold out until midnight, then Christmas will be over, and they'll be able to, and Santa will lose his power and have to go away. So, like I said, 80% of this movie is just them running from Santa, them getting Santa killing people in various Christmas themed ways. Lots of just awesome puns. It's so weird to see like movies where they just don't have like a whole bunch of just forced diversity or like censorship so they can't make it politically incorrect jokes or stuff like that. I mean, this movie is like as sleazy and as like lowbrow as it comes, but it's a lot of fun to be honest. Anyways, so they wind up getting to a hockey rink, and Santa tries to ride them down in a Zamboni. Now, a lot of you probably don't know what a Zamboni is. A Zamboni is a Canadian invention that goes out and cleans up the ice. It's got like a, not sure if it's steam or what it is, but it will go out and kind of remelt and refreeze the ice in a hockey rink. So it's able to just to kind of clean it up. So Santa's like chasing them down in a Zamboni, and they just manage to escape him. And the grandfather shows up despite being killed earlier, and to the surprise of no one, it turns out that he was the angel who stopped Santa 1,000 years ago, and he's been waiting this whole time. Now, it turns out that he was actually Nicholas's grandfather who fell in love, and he became mortal. So then he is actually his biological grandson. So he is the grandson of an angel, which is pretty based. I'm not gonna lie. Now, this operates under standard low church Protestant logic that angels are people who died and went to heaven. So, because he became mortal but then was killed, he became an angel again. So, he challenges Santa to a curling rematch, which he winds up for winner take all. Santa will have to stop his rampage forever, or he will be dragged to hell if he loses. He winds up winning, but Santa won't accept the result and throws him into the fiery pit. They manage to save him, but he's unable to leave the hockey rink because of reasons. And so he leaves the final defeat of Santa up to his grandson and his girlfriend. So we kind of had Chekhov's gun earlier, where they came across a group of skeet shooters, including this one Amerindian dude who has a like a voice modulator because he has cancer or something. So they lure Santa back to the skeet shooters, and the skeet shooters are all just blasting away, and it's not doing anything. And then the Mary's father, who's like a redneck, randomly has a bazooka for some reason and blows up Santa's sleigh, apparently killing him and the hell deer once and for all. It's later shown that Santa did actually survive and is traveling under the name Mr. Satan or Mr. Shaitan, and he is going to the North Pole. It's kind of fun because he is booking a flight from Winnipeg to the North Pole to get back there. But he's going to come back, and Nicholas says if by the miracle of money laundering, this film somehow got a sequel, that Santa will be back, and it's going to be his job to watch over the world and defeat him. Now, there's a deleted scene that they removed, which actually probably would have been funny. So it says Santa went to the North Pole for 3 weeks and then went to Moscow for Orthodox Christmas, which I actually thought was pretty funny. They took that out though. So what can be said about Santa's sleigh? I probably didn't explain the plot very well. I mean, it doesn't really it's a B movie, but like I said, if you watch it, I highly recommend watching the short making of features because it's just bizarre, like how involved this whole process was. That like anybody gave a shit about Santa's sleigh, let alone to the point where we're making hell deer, we're making illuminated manuscripts, we're making like Santa have this like Viking warrior costume and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just bizarre. But it's actually a really fun movie. Is it a good movie? No. Is it like a fun movie that I would recommend watching? Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give at least one thumb up to Santa's Sleigh. I mean, It's better than like 90% of action movies that come out these days. It's better than, I'm sure it's better than Red One. Like I said, I would need like a minimum of like 100 USD to watch Red One. Maybe more actually, because it looks so unbelievably bad. I'm sure it's better than Bad Santa. I'm sure it's better than like a lot of different stuff. So that is the review of Santa's Sleigh. More exciting content to come. God bless everybody and have a great day.